Good evening, Vishwas. Good evening. Good evening, Chetan, Deepthi. Good evening, everyone. So, okay. So, let's start. In the last class, I told you about fall and rise of Indira Gandhi in 1970s and 80s. Okay. And this fall and then rise of Indira Gandhi have made certain changes in the fiscal policy. And monetary policy almost means it was a kind of closed economy and it's a socialist economy. So monetary policy kind of the thing is more effective when there is a kind of mixed economy, proper mixed economy, or even in the capitalist economy, right? So monetary policy do not play a very significant role if most of the thing is being dictated by the government, right? So when Indira Gandhi lost the power and she came back to the power, she realized that in India, to sustain at a top level, you must be a kind of government. You should have a kind of government which take populist measures. Populist measure means this term populist measure means we are trying to take certain actions which can satisfy the big large chunk of population even at the cost of finance means fiscal system, at the cost of budgeting and long term debt. At the cost of that, even must we must have to take certain action in order to mesmerize the people and get elected in the election, right? So this was the kind of feedback she got with the win in 1980s, and with that she has started a lot of things, right? And I already discussed these kind of the scheme, trisem, irdp, and such kind of the schemes was started. But uh, when you will go for the populist measure, right, maybe you can satisfy the masses, that's true, but in the longer run it is going to create a big problem for you in the future. So the crisis which India faced in 1990, right? During that phase, the crisis which we have faced in this crisis, actually, it was a situation. It was a situation in 1991. That is why the crisis came in this year. The crisis came in this particular year. Actually, such kind of the crisis was inevitable since 1970s and 80s. The policy opted by the various governments, in especially in 1970s and in 1980s, these 2 decades, the policy opted by the government, various government of India, they more focus on the populist measure, and they have just left kind of the fiscal discipline. You should not spend too much if you do not have the money. You should not dependent on the borrowings too much, right? So this discipline was missed. This discipline was missed in 1970s and 80s, right? So this discipline was missed in 1917 and 80s, and that caused a lot of issues, right? That caused a lot of issues. and it was means Indian economy become vulnerable. Indian economy become vulnerable, and that vulnerability maybe result in a big crisis at any point of time, right? That can be a crisis at any point of time, so it was inevitable, means there will be a crisis. But the situation developed in 1991, and already we have problematic balance sheet of government of India. That is why all these factors led to the balance of payment crisis, BOP crisis, in 1991. But it was not like that crisis came in this year, and because such kind of the crisis even came in the past also, but we are able to solve it. We are able to solve it because we have certain backings. But by this time, all of our reserves, all of our financial capabilities were not there, so we can address this problem, right? And that's why we have negotiated this crisis. Means to come out of this crisis, we have negotiated with the World Bank and IMF. I'll let you know in detail here, but this was the background. Means to be in this crisis, we have already started building up the situation from 1970s and 80s onwards. So anyone who have this perception in his mind that this problem came suddenly, it was not a sudden problem. Situation was there which stimulated the crisis. That's true. Situation in that year was like it has created. Means, for example, right now, this Ukrainian and Russian Ukrainian war is going to cause massive rise in the fuel prices. Massive rise in the fuel prices. However, our economy is in position to sustain this crisis. Even sustain this crisis for next 6 months also. We are in the position. So in 1970s, we are in the position we can sustain this crisis for 2 to 3 months. In 1980s, we are in the position to sustain this crisis for 40 to 45 days. By the end of 1980s, we are in the position, if such kind of the crisis will come, we can hold it only for maximum 7 to 10 days, right? So this is what our preparation to handle the crisis become starting weaker and weaker from 1970s onwards. Okay, and the reason was too much populist measure taken by the government. In the last class, I have discussed about the 6 5 year plan, right? So 6 5 year plan, these are the things were taken. In 7 5 year plan, whatever the schemes you have started in 6 5 year plan, they are the kind of scheme which cannot be completed or they cannot achieve their objective, like rural employment and training the rural youth, such kind of a thing. You cannot complete in 5 year. This 5 years. So that is why most of the scheme were being continued with extended objective ki we want to fulfill further. So the 5 year 7 5 year plan was specifically not with any kind of extra objective. The objective was remain same, garibi hatao kind of the thing. Okay, and one more thing was started, food for work. Food for work and productivity was main focus, right? Food for work, food for word is missing here. Food for work and productivity was the main aim of this 5 year plan, right? Indira Awas Yojana was started. So Awas Yojana means we are not just going to provide you the food, cloth, but also shelter. So shelter scheme was started provided by government of India in that year. Okay, just give me a second. Just give me a second, huh? So Indira Awas Yojana was started in 1985. Now it is known as a PM Awas Yojana, right? PM Awas Yojana, Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. So Rozgar Yojana was started. So right now, whatever the schemes you are able to see, they are in running, right? So the schemes which are in running right now, more or less, they are, you can say, the advanced version. Like in means software, we have a different version updates. So similarly, basic framework is remain same. Basic framework is we have to focus on certain social sector, and for those certain social sectors, we have started some schemes in past, and maybe the present day government feel that that scheme was not good, so they have replaced or they have made certain changes in the schemes. So these schemes are ever evolving, right? But the basic route are what? Basic route are we have to focus on what? Urban development, rural development, agriculture, women and child, right? Women and child. So these are now, earlier government was focused to develop the public sector, right, and industries and all. Now government is not doing on its own, right? Government is not doing on your own, because earlier government was establishing steel plant with their own effort by public sector company, means government of India owned company. So some efforts in the industry were made like in this manner during the planning phase. But now only the social sector is being done by the government of India, whereas for the economy, means industry and services sector, government herself is not doing anything. Now government is focusing on developing the public sector, developing the industry, developing the services sector, developing the economy, and developing the infrastructure, right? So I hope now I'm visible and audible too, because sometimes I forgot to switch back the microphone, switch on the microphone. Yes, please confirm me. Okay, 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 fine. So the CAPART was established in 1986. Sometimes they have asked this question when the CAPART was established. Earlier, they was asking CAPART was established in which 5 year plan when the 5 year plan was in execution, right? So why I'm telling you, because since 2012-13 I am teaching, so I have told many students 7 5 year plan, this 5 year plan. So that's why I'm telling you. But generally now they do not ask in which 5 year plan it was established, but they maybe ask when it was established. So Council for Advancement of People's Action in the Rural Technology. Okay. Now, this is one of the harshest criticism, right? Professor Raj Krishna has given the concept of Hindu growth rate during this 5 year plan. So he has given the concept of Hindu growth rate during this 5 year plan, right? सर मैंने आपके टेलीग्राम चैनल पर डिस्क्रिप्टिव राइटिंग भेजा है प्लीज हेल्प मी चेक करना ओके आई विल चेक इट सर मार्क द इंटरनल डाउनलोड नोट्स सर मेक इंटरनल डाउनलोड ऑफ नोट्स ऑन द ऐप अवेलेबल See, my dear, I tell you honestly, I am only related to what the teaching part. Regarding all these issues, please request to the admin. I don't look on those issues, and I feel that it is means unnecessary interference, because I'm kind of person who take the role of teaching with very high enthusiasm, and with that enthusiasm I am not able to understand what are the issues of management and all. So my request is, what you can please ask this issues to uh, admin team. Regarding Shubham, many students have sent, but I told you what is happening in the last 3 4 days, because NABARD interview has started. So NABARD interview, and actually prelims is also approaching. Means after 3 months there is a prelims exam of UPSC. So have some pressure to finish few things, right? So actually not getting the time, but I'll do that thing, that for sure. So for GA static, will you suggest? Obviously, I will suggest. Right, I will suggest. No issues. But right now, I'll request you to focus on this session. Okay. And if you have any question, means if you want to ask any question, for all paid subscriber, I'm available in the channel with my name. You can directly ping me, right? You can directly pin me. Though generally I'm not very active on the Telegram. I generally put off the notifications of Telegram, but now because most of the you are associated with the Telegram, so generally I check the notifications 2 to 3 times in a day, sometimes in the early morning, sometimes in the late night. So I will reply. I will reply when I'll get the time. So if you have any particular question, I will definitely reply. Okay. So now just try to understand what is this. What is Hindu growth rate? What is Hindu growth rate? So Hindu growth rate, actually Professor Raj Krishna, he analyzed the development in India, means India's economic growth and population growth. Economic growth and population growth. So actually, he has given the idea in 1989, but his idea was based on census of 1971. The census data which was released by, means census was held in 1971, but the data was 1981. Sorry. Data was released by 1985-86. Full-fledged data means complete data. It takes some time because census, especially census in India, one of the biggest exercise of counting of the heads in the world, right? So it takes some time. So on the basis of that, he compared the economic growth of India and population growth of India, right? So the way the population is rising and the way our economy is growing, so economy is growing almost on an average of 3 to 4% only, right? 3 to 4% only. 3 to 4% is not an issue. For example, even US is struggling to achieve this growth rate, right? US is struggling to achieve this growth rate, but they are struggling to achieve this growth rate because the size of the economy is very huge. I told you many times with this example कि person have 1000 rupees salary and person have 10,000 rupees salary, right? He got the increment of 10%. Okay, he got the increment of 10%. Now his salary is 1100. He got the increment of 5%. So his salary is 10,500. Right. So growth rate, definitely he have higher growth rate. But overall, the size matters here. Right. Fine. So what he said that ki the size of the Indian economy was very small in the beginning in 1947. Over the years, over the four decades, means for decade of 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s decade. So from 1950 to 80s decade, when you are entering in the 1990s, you can see that the Indian economy is having small size plus low growth rate. But if you will look the population size here and you look the population size here, so population is rising, economy is not rising. Economic of India is remain stagnated. Economic growth of India is remain stagnated or sluggish, or whatever you want to say. If you want to harshly criticize, you can say that it is what it is, almost no growth, or it is stand alone there, and it is stuck that particular point. But it is sluggish growth rate, whereas the population was rising very high, right, with the high fertility rate in India. And the reason was that India was a country during the British era which have high mortality rate and high growth rate. Both are very high, and generally this happen in all developing countries, right? High mortality rate, and every person who is an adult person and he is going to enter in the settled life, right? So it's a nature, you want to be have your siblings, and when you know that there is a less chance of survival, there is less chance of survival of your siblings, जो भी आपके बच्चे हैं उनके सर्वाइवल के चांसेस बहुत कम हैं. So in that case, it is a genuine tendency, they are going to have, right, they are going to have more number of kids. Another reason, the lack of adoption of contraceptive measures, right? So if you are not using those contraceptive measures, then there is a high possibility of getting pregnant, right? And because the society is like that कि भगवान की देन होते हैं बच्चे, right? So you have taken this point. So there is low kind of the contraceptive post sex or post pregnancy kind of the contraceptive or the abortion is very low in India, right? So such kind of the things were also responsible for high explosive population growth rate in India. right? So, but that was balanced to high mortality rate. High mortality rate was also there in India. But since 1947, government of India has started a lot of social measures in order to basically provide certain basic health things, so that the mortality rate, if you will compare the mortality rate of 1950, sorry, if you will compare the mortality rate of India in 1920 and mortality rate in 1980. So mortality rate was significantly reduced. But if you will compare the means fertility rate, that was remain same. That was remain same. So this is why all of a sudden there is a issue of a high population in India. So he just want to say that ki the policy makers in India have ignored these kind of the things, right? They ignored these kind of the things ki how the dividend means demographic dividend is not being there. It is going to be negative and you are going to face severe issues, right? So government has not focused on this thing. Government has not focused on the proper control of the population, and that resulted into the high rise in the population and very low or stagnated economic growth rate. So what we grow in last 30-40 years is only population, and because Hindus are majority of the population of India, that is why he called it as a Hindu growth rate, right? So after that, many countries such kind of studies were happened, and they called particular religion based means Hindu growth rate, Muslim growth rate, Jain growth rate. Lot of concepts were came. So his objective was not to target the religion, but his objective was because the larger population is comprised of this particular religion. That is why he called it the Hindu growth rate. तो उसको communal साइज देने की जरूरत नहीं है. It's not required to be think in the religious manner. You should be very rational enough, and I know that ki all the students who are here, they think in the rational manner. So take it rationally, right? Don't take it politically. Take it rationally in the economic sense. Why he called it as a Hindu growth rate? Because in last 30-40 years, only population is rising, economic growth rates remain stagnated. I hope this is clear. So last year, question was asked in ESI regarding the demographic dividend. I will come to the see, Shubham. There will be no direct question. There will be no direct question. But if you know all these happened in the past, then you are able to write effectively. So that is why you must know the economic history of India. So this is why I am doing the discussion. You can see that I am hardly explaining the concept. I am just giving you the idea what happened in the past. So from economic history of India, especially till the 1991, there will be no such question, but it is going to allow you to understand the post 1991 reforms in the better manner. And in your syllabus, there is a separate topic, economic monetary. That is why the today's topic I have given a monetary and financial reforms in India since 1991. So in order to understand that thing, this discussion is required. So that's why I'm going here. Okay, Shubham. So I hope Hindu growth rate concept is clear. What was the Hindu growth rate? Now, okay. So Hindu growth rate I have explained. Right now, before going for this further discussion, I would like to explain you few things. These are the political thing, but how these political things have created a huge issue, and that huge issue was responsible for downfall of Indian economic system in 1991. In 1980, Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. Right? They started the invasion in 1980. Right? And Afghanistan is a country is known as what? It is known as graveyard of empires. उसको empires का graveyard कहा जाता है. It is a graveyard of empires. Whether it is British, Russian, Soviets, or even after America, after long war, they ultimately went back. So this war went till then 1989. So 9 year of long war happened in the Afghanistan, and Soviet Union was forced to withdraw themselves from there. And this 9 long years of war caused drain economic in Soviet Union, right? And this was union of comprising of many countries like Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, all these part of the Soviet Union. And when your economy was drained out, many of the members want to come out of that union. So the disintegration of Soviet Union was started in 1989, right? And the fall of Berlin Wall, because after Second World War, Germany was divided into East Germany and West Germany. So that Berlin Wall was broken by the people of Germany, and Germany was unified. So the unification of Germany has started the spiral effect, and Soviet Union started disintegration. So Soviet Union disintegration was started from 1989. So this was one of the biggest political event in 1980s, which was continued even in 1990, 1991 till the 1992. So finally 1992 this integration was completed. So these year for troublesome year for Soviet Union, very troublesome, and Soviet Union was very close to India, right? Very close to India in terms of security, in terms of economy. Many times Soviet Union has provided the support to India, right? So one of your strength were falling down in those years, right? So this was one event. Another event in 1990, the dictator of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, right? So Saddam Hussein, just understand in this way. So what is his plan? That was Iraq, that is Kuwait, and this some part of what? Some part of just give me a map. I'll show you the map, so it will be a little bit easier for you to understand. So I hope you are able to see this map. So Iraq was under the rule of Saddam Hussein, the dictator of Iraq, right? And here you can see that what? Here you can see that Kuwait, right? And this is the Gulf, right? And here is the Saudi Arabia. So most of the oil field, Kuwait is a tiny country, but Kuwait have lot of oil wells, right? And most of the oil wealth of Saudi Arabia is located in this area. Most of the Saudis oil field are located in this area only, right? So what was the plan of Saddam Hussein? Plan of Saddam Hussein was that Iraq was one of the largest producer, right? So if they will capture Kuwait as well as they will able to capture this area, the effectively 90% of oil supply from Gulf can be under the control of whom? Saddam Hussein, and then he can dictate. Then he can dictate the entire world economy because oil is very important economic resource. So this was his plan, and he thought that that is going to be backed by the Soviet Union. Soviet Union will provide certain kind of the support, but things went wrong. Soviet Union itself started disintegrating, and Saddam Hussein was not able to hold his pulse, and he said that no, whatever the happening in there, we will continue our plan. So in 1990, they invaded the Kuwait. That they invaded the Kuwait in order to control this area, then go to this area. So this was the aim, and that is why Gulf War was started. Right, Gulf War was started, and in order to save this Kuwait and this oil field, US, US, Europe, Europe, and other allies nations, they started invasion, means they started war against Iraq, right? And what happened after the war, everybody know that. I don't want to go in this, but that war, and war where the war was happening, the war is happening all the hotbed of where the oil production is being done, right? So that is why the global supply of oil, global supply of oil went down, right? Demand was there and supply went down, then what will happen? The price of crude oil was shoot up. Price of crude oil was shoot up, right? Shoot up means you are not, means the price is exorbitant, right? So price was almost doubled, and all of we know that our 78% requirement of oil and gas is done through import, right? So the import bill was started rising, right? India have significant external trade with Soviet Union, right? And even whenever India faces such kind of the short-term crisis, it was Soviet Union who provided the support to us, right? In terms of oil kind of the thing, they provided the support to us. But as Soviet Union was disintegrating, so Soviets was not able to control themselves, right? So the external support which India was getting, it was not available there, right? So we do not have a support to absorb this oil shock. We call this as a oil shock. Right now, we till then today election was there, and today the exit poll is coming, right? See from tomorrow how the prices of this oil, gas, and petrol is going to rise, right? So you will get the shock, right? The price rise in this all energy sources, the shock you are going to see from tomorrow onwards. So Indian economy is capable to absorb these shocks right now. At that point of time, I told you from 1970s to 80s, we have taken the certain policy measures which weaken the Indian economic capability to absorb those shocks. And even right now, Soviet Union was also not there. So we are forced to what? We are forced to use our foreign reserves. So we started using our foreign reserves in order to maintain the oil supply. In order to maintain the oil supply, we have started using of our foreign reserve. Fine. By the end of 1990, situation was developed like that we have only 7 days oil reserve. That means after 7 days, okay, after 7 days we do not have any oil. What it means that the reserve what we have to pay the bill of import of the oil after 7 days we will drained out. We are not going to have any foreign reserve in order to pay the bill of crude oil plus whatever other obligations we do have. For example, in 1980s we have taken a loan, and that loan from any country or any organization, and it is going to mature in 1990 in December. So the situation was like that we was not able to repay because our foreign exchange were drained out, right? It is about to drain out. फिर हिंदी में कहावत होती है, एक तो करेला ऊपर से नीम चढ़ा, ठीक है? करेला ऊपर से नीम चढ़ा. So this was happened. So this was all external things happening, and India's oil and the foreign reserves were depleting to historic low. Whereas the same time in the India at internal level, what was happening in 1989? In 1989, right? Janata Dal crave out from the Congress, right? There was a kind of split in the Congress, and the Janata Dal was formed under the leadership of VP Singh, right? So Janata Dal was formed under the leadership of VP Singh, and all these Janata Dal you are looking today, Janata Dal United, Janata Dal, whatever you are able to see in the different part of the Janata Dal, all these Janata Dal was a part of that Janata Dal which was formed in late 1989 or in the 1990s. So in 1990s, election was scheduled and election held. Election held, and there was hung parliament. No single party was having the majority to form the government. Finally, Janata Dal, led by VP Singh, Janata Dal led by VP Singh is able to convince left parties as well as right parties. Left parties like Communist Party and right party like BJP, he was able to convince both left and right to form a government. So finally, Janata Dal was able to form the government in 1990 with the support of left as well as right. So he got the support of left as well as right, and he became the Prime Minister of India. Once he became the Prime Minister of India, he opened the Pandora's box. What is the Pandora's box? Actually, in 1980s, there was a issue of OBC reservation, right? So government has appointed BP Mandal Commission. Janta government in 1977, they formed this BP Mandal Commission in order to look the OBC's situation in India, and if required, you can recommend for the reservation also. So BP Mandal Commission has submitted its report to the Janta government in 1977, right? But government didn't take any action. Even the Congress government came to the power, even they do not take any action, right? However, when the VP Singh became the Prime Minister, he accepted the recommendation of BP Mandal Commission, and as per the recommendation, 27% reservation should be given to the OBCs, right? So he accepted this thing, and 27% reservation must be given to OBCs, and he announced that we are going to implement Mandal Commission report. So BP was missing, the Mandal Commission was more popular name. So Mandal Commission report was implemented by VP Singh. That means whatever the share of general category, out of that share, 27% seats will go to the OBCs, right? So this was the response of the government. Against that thing, lot of general category student, they started protest, and still I have those images in my mind because I have seen those images on television, national television, and I have seen two students were burning themselves. Self immolation, they are burning themselves. Where you are right now, those who are in Delhi, I hope they have seen the Delhi University metro station. So the Delhi University metro station gate number 2, that was the exact location where two students, they burned down themselves, right? So there was a huge uproar in the country against that reservation. But those who got the reservation, they started supporting. So country was divided pro and against the reservation of the OBC. One issue. Another issue was that in 1990, the Rathyatra movement was started in order to support the construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya, right? So Ram Temple in Ayodhya. So Ram Mandir movement was started with the Rath Yatra, and that Rath Yatra started at some point, and finally it have to move towards where? Ayodhya. So the people who want to build the Ram temple and those who are the volunteers, they are known as Kar Sevak, right? We are ready to serve for this purpose. We want to build the temple in Ayodhya. So these Kar Sevak started moving towards the Ayodhya. Uttar Pradesh government was informed by the various security agencies that there may be a huge problem in the Ayodhya, and maybe the Kar Sevak in the heat of the moment they can target that dome of Babri Masjid, right? But government ignored or whatever happened. I'm not going to comment on that thing. This is a political thing. I am just want to give you the facts what happened actually. So that dome was destructed on 6th of December 1992. Right. So India was on boil internally. India was on boil internally. One, the Ram Mandir movement, and other, the Mandal Commission. So that is why the politics of 1990, especially 1990 to 1992, this politics is known as Mandal Kamandal politics. Mandal Kamandal politics. And this politics was happening in India when your economy is almost on the breakdown. So there is a leadership crisis in India because when this all these things happen, Mandal and the dome was destructed, right? So left and right has taken out of the support. Then Chandrasekhar became the prime minister, but finally the power was this joint government was not able to survive, and election was held again in 1991, right? So there is a clear cut crisis of decision making in India. Number one. Number two, society is on boil on religious basis plus the reservation basis. Plus, externally, you are facing such kind of the default crisis. You are not able to make the payment to purchase the oil. You are not able to repay the loans you have taken in the past. So this was a crisis of 1991. Right, this was the crisis of 1991. So finally, we was facing the crisis. Election was held, and PV Narasimha Rao, with the external support of some other small parties, he was able to form the government. And situation internally like that ki okay, court has intervened. So with the intervention of the Supreme Court, all these issue, for example, like what government has recommended for reservation, the creamy layer judgment came in the picture, which probably satisfied the both section creamy layer. Those who are in the creamy layer from the OBC, they will not get the benefit of the reservation. So at least it was stopped. Whereas government means Supreme Court again intervened in that case of Kamandal politics, means the Ayodhya movement. So a lot of instructions were given to the state government and central government. So that was also put it down. तो वो थोड़ा डाउन फेस में आया. Whereas the same time when the PV Narasimha Rao formed the government, he was facing two twin challenges at internal level and external level. So internal level, with the help of Supreme Court, a lot of things were managed. But external movement, external crisis was a kind of crisis of the balance of payment, right? And same kind of the situation we have faced in 1987 when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the RBI governor, right? And he effectively handled that crisis, right? The balance of payment crisis in 1987. So it was bound कि we are facing a biggest crisis in our economic history. So that was a kind of no other option. We must have a kind of finance minister on board who is having the experience, who is having an experience to handle that crisis. So it was a kind of accident. Because of that accident, he became the finance minister. He was never a first choice, but it was a kind of accident, or you can, the situation was there. He became the finance minister of the India, and he was supposed to do for negotiations with the IMF and World Bank in order to get the loan, right? So that's why Sanjay Baru in his book he called him as an accidental prime minister, right? One of the reason he has cited there कि he was also an accidental finance minister. He was never a first choice to be a finance minister. He was a kind of accidental kind of the finance minister also, and he said all these things in his book, right? So finally, in 1991, Indian delegation went to where? Bretton Woods twins. Bretton Woods twins are IMF and World Bank. There is a small town near Washington DC known as Bretton Woods, and under the agreement in 1945 by various countries, more than 45 countries were there. In 1945, at Bretton Woods, these two institutions were established. So that is why sometimes we will call them as a Bretton Woods twins or Bretton Woods institution. So sometimes rather than using IMF and World Bank commandly, they do write as a Bretton Woods institutions or Bretton Woods twins. Fine. So this is the reason why they called. So World Bank is basically focus on what? Developmental things. Development kind of the thing. So that is why most of the time the loan or advances given by the World Bank, they are soft loan. Soft loan, whereas IMF in generally provide hard loan. Soft and hard is not because the loan paper was signed on the soft paper and here IMF will ask you to sign on the stone. It's not like that. Soft and hard loan. Soft and hard loans are generally, for example, if it is a soft loan, duration, long, interest rate, low or very low, right? With minimum TNC, terms and conditions, right? Whereas for the hard loan, duration short to medium, right? Interest rate moderate to high, right? Whereas stringent terms and conditions, stringent terms and conditions will be placed when you are going to negotiate there, right? So Indian delegation headed by our finance minister, including the RBI chief of that time, they went to IMF for the negotiations of the loan. The point here, for example, that was IMF side. This was the IMF side, and it was Indian delegation headed by our finance minister, Indian side. So you went for the loan, you need something. So you should keep this thing in mind. When you need something, then definitely you must have to give something. Only then they will give you whatever you desire or whatever you want. So this is the basic thing of the negotiation, right? So IMF started ki see what the crisis you are facing right now, balance of payment crisis, you believe that it is a situational crisis. You believe that this is the situational crisis because of downfall of Soviet Union, because of oil shock, all these things you are thinking in that manner. But the truth is India always have a problem with structure and functional problem, structural and functional problem. India have structural and functional problem. That is why your forex, the foreign reserve, in short, they are known as forex, right? They said that ki your economy is non-competitive. Non-competitive means government monopolizes most of the production activity, and that is why there is no competition in the economy. And because of no competition in the economy, you are not able to produce a good quality product, and that is why your export is low. And because your exports are low, you are not able to fulfill the export import related things, right? So this is one structural problem. Another structural problem say that ki at at fiscal level. Now please pay attention from here. Now from here discussion is going to be a little bit more technical in the nature. At fiscal level, because because most of the production activity is controlled by the government of India, and in order to run those activities, government of India need huge money in terms of borrowings. And who facilitate borrowings? RBI, right? And if the borrowings by the government of India is going to be on high interest rate, then government is going to face a lot of problem to return that money. So what government of India want? Borrowing at low interest rate. So in order to facilitate low interest rate borrowings, in order to facilitate low interest borrowings, okay, either in terms of cash, gold, or government securities. Those students who don't know what is the government securities, means a paper issued by the government to return the money what they have taken. So you can understand in this way. If you have not seen the previous lectures and especially the finance lecture, then you can consider as a paper issued by the government of India and promise to repay the money, that is the government securities, right? So you must have to maintain the high SLR, that is 40%. If you will put in the cash, you are not going to get anything, बिकॉज दैट इज कैश विल बी रिमेन कैश. वो 40 रुपए ही रहेंगे. 100 रुपए के जो 40 रुपए आपने अपनी पॉकेट में रख लिए, if you have put that 40 rupees in your pocket, so after even 40 years they will be remain 40 rupees. ठीक है, वो 80 नहीं हो जाएंगे. So cash will be remain cash. So it is not possible for banks to put in the cash. Why? Because this 100 rupees they have taken in terms of deposits. They have taken this money in the terms of deposits, and they must return that money with interest. And if you will put the 40 rupees in cash, you are going to be in loss. So that's why you should not keep in the cash. Gold is volatile. Sometimes price increases and decreases. So volatility, maybe you are in loss. So that's why best is to the government securities. So government wants some loan, whereas at the same time banks are also very interested to have those government securities in order to maintain their SLR. So what IMF said that you people means RBI and government of India has made artificial interest rate in order to facilitate high borrowings at low interest rate by the government of India. This is why your banks are performing very poor. This is why your private sector is not able to flourish, because whatever the amount is available, the large chunk is taken by the government. Large chunk is taken by the government. So whatever the left money is with the bank is going to provide that money in terms of loan at very high interest rate. So for private sector to get the borrowings from the bank is difficult and very problematic, right? Third thing, financial market. So generally what happened, if the private sector is not able to get borrowings from the bank at low interest rate, where the private sector will go? Private sector will go to the financial market, for example, releasing their IPOs and something like debentures, bonds. But your financial market is also small and problematic. So in nutshell, at foreign trade level, at foreign trade level, because you have non-competitive economic production system in your country, so you are performing very poor at foreign trade level. Your fiscal policy, क्या कहने ही माशाअल्लाह है, you are artificially trying to put down the interest rate in order to facilitate government borrowings, whereas monetary policy is only for to supporting the fiscal policy. Monetary policy is not independent, right? The fourth thing, financial market. Financial market is also very poor. So all these four front, you need what? Structural and functional changes. You need structural and functional changes. Otherwise, if we will give you the money, if we will give you the money, there is no guarantee return that money. Plus, maybe whatever you are going to give as a security, means even if we are going to give you loan right now, the first possibility, IMF said that, first of all, I hope you understand what IMF has told to the government of India and their negotiators, which went to the IMF and World Bank for negotiations of loans. Right. So they make you realize that you have the structural functional problem. And you cannot deny, because these are the facts of Indian economy of 1991. So our negotiator said that yes, we do accept this point. Now, what IMF said next, IMF said that okay, if we are going to ignore all this problem and we are going to give you loan, then what will happen after few years, means 4 5 years, again you will come with this problem. So then you have to return the earlier money, and you have not returned the earlier money and you are again going to borrow. So it is very required, if you need loans from us, you must go for structural and functional change in your economy. Only then we will give you the loan. But it doesn't mean that if we will give the loan, we will not take a guarantee. We will take a guarantee from you. And in terms of guarantee, India have to deposit its gold as a guarantee. So in case if government of India has failed to repay the loan, we will encash those things by selling your gold. So this is our condition number one. This is our condition number one if you want to get the loans. Condition number one means you must will go for structural and functional reforms. Structural and functional reforms, right? The first condition, and guarantee you have to provide. This is the first terms and condition you must have to accept. And second condition, this structural and functional reforms must be implemented with timeline of 4 to 5 years. So you put forward your plan, and that plan must be executed maximum in 4 to 5 years. So according to IMF, what reforms you have seen today, the MPC kind of the thing, monetary policy kind of committee is being there, that reforms must be implemented by 1997, right? In 4 to 5 years. So Manmohan Singh, he negotiated. I'm just telling you the transcript. I have read that all the transcripts and I enjoyed a lot, but it's very difficult for you guys to read that thing. First of all, it is not required. Second thing, if you are very interested to read all those things and you enjoy that thing, then let me know. I'll tell you the source. Right? I am of readings. So Manmohan Singh got furiated. He means, okay, fine, first thing we do accept, but this kind of the condition we cannot accept it. Try to understand the basic psyche of Indians, right? If we purchase the car, we are not supposed to remove the polythene of seat for even many years. And what you are expecting कि we are going for such kind of the big bang reforms in 4 to 5 years? पागल हो गए हो क्या? Means out of mind, right? यार इंडियंस कार का पॉलिथीन नहीं निकालते हैं. अगर आपने बचपन में निकाला होगा अपने घर में तो आपकी कितनी पिटाई हुई आपको याद होगा. ठीक है. तो इंडियंस आर सच काइंड ऑफ पीपल हु डू नॉट एक्सेप्ट द चेंज easily. But when they start accepting, they will start accepting the big bang manner. But first, you have to make them realize it is for your benefit. So until unless they are not going to realize this thing, it is not possible. So first condition we do accept, but second condition we are not ready to accept. We will implement those reforms with our pace and with the nature of our economy. So the wiseness of Dr. Manmohan Singh was here, not here. That was actually prepared by Montek Singh Ahluwalia. He prepared those structural function reforms back in India. What we have seen, that was prepared by Dr. Manmohan, not Manmohan Singh. It was prepared by Montek Singh Ahluwalia, presented by Dr. Manmohan Singh. So what we see as a Rao Manmohan model in India, that was actually a mastermind was Montek Singh Ahluwalia. That is why when Manmohan Singh became the Prime Minister of India, he immediately given the deputy chairmanship to Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia. And this is not what I am saying. I am saying what I have studied in the very standard books, authenticated by various writers like Y.V. Reddy, Rakesh Mohan, even Dr. Manmohan Singh. All these people have accepted this fact. Maybe people who do not read that thing, they feel that it was only Manmohan Singh, but it was Montek Singh Ahluwalia, brainchild of these reforms. But the beauty of the brain of Manmohan Singh, he negotiated in the very well manner. He said that no, it is not possible. We cannot implement those reforms in 4 to 5 years. We need our time, and we are going to implement these reforms in the stages and one by one. So you cannot accept this thing. Now IMF feel that if we are going to refuse, so maybe it is a lost opportunity for us, because India is a big country, and if India even is going to start this structural functional reforms in a slow manner, right? In the slow manner, even then there is a big opportunity for Western companies to open their ventures and exploit the big market and make a lot of profit, right? Lot of profit. So that's why IMF accepted the terms and condition put forward by the government of India. Ki, okay, you can implement those reforms in the not time-bound manner of 4 to 5 years. You can take your own time, but you must go for certain reforms initially. For example, raising the taxes, right? Tax must be raised. Government should take the responsibility and open the economy. Open the economy means government should not control the production activity through the PSUs. There should be the fair chances available for the private sector. Reforms in monetary policy, interest rate must be realized. It should not be like that ki for private sector interest rate is this and for the government interest rate is this. It must be rationalized. The fair competition is available for everyone, right? In the fiscal policy, government of India should work to bring down its borrowing. To bring down its borrowing, it should be worked properly. Otherwise, it is not going to work. So at the same time, you also have to reform your financial market so that it can be expanded further. Foreign trade is going to improve when government will allow more private competition. So that is why you see it in terms of what? The LPG reforms, liberalization, privatization, globalization. Okay. So most of the time, whenever you will study the LPG reforms, liberalization, privatization, globalization, but where, here, here you have to reform, here you have to liberalize, here you have to do the privatize. Why privatize? Right? So this was the reason why it is known as LPG reforms. And being as a student of grade B kind of the exam, you should not be speak in the layman terms ki LPG reforms was only for the liberalization, LPG reforms was only for what, prohibit the government or bring down the government sector. You must speak in such a manner कि LPG reforms was intended to initiate, LPG reforms was intended to initiate fiscal policy, monetary policy, and financial market reforms in India. And you can see this history from 1991 till then date. We are reforming many things of the financial market, of monetary policy and the fiscal policy. In the fiscal policy domain, we have seen the kind of radical thing FRBM Act, Fiscal Responsibility and Budgetary Management Act. In the monetary policy domain, we have seen what? We have seen MPC kind of the reforms. In financial market, derivative market, money market, financial market is expanding, and India is one of the few country who has went for T+1, trade plus 1 day settlement. Suppose that trade is held today, you can go for the settlement on the next day. Whatever share bonds you have purchased, you can get the disbursed, means money will be disbursed on the very second day. That is why T+1 day. So T+1 day kind of the reform we have achieved today. So this is what we have seen, a long process of the reforms in India, but not in 4 to 5 years, but in 20 to 30 years. And that is why all over the world, Dr. Manmohan Singh is praised. Not because LPG reforms, the way he implemented the reforms. Right? So you must know the right thing, because generally student or common people, they believe that he came with the LPG reforms. No, you implemented in a such a manner, it has given the great benefit to the country. That's why I think everyone should be proud of him and give the due respect to Dr. Manmohan Singh. Right? So I hope you got the base of LPG reforms, where LPG reforms were intended. So if you understood, please comment here. So that is going to give me some sort of satisfaction कि what effort I have put it here. Uh, it is not going in the vain. You have understood that thing. मेरे घर की एलईडी की प्लास्टिक अभी तक नहीं निकली 2020 अगस्त में. This happened with most of the Indians. See the toothbrush, how we exploit that toothbrush, how we exploit our mobile phones. It's a common tendency of Indians, right? It's a common tendency of Indians, or you can say the subcontinent, right? Apart from India, very few countries have to go for worshipping of whatever they have. So there is a lot of emotional attachment with the things we generally use in our home also, right? So a lot of attachment, and a special attachment with the toothbrush and the toothpaste which is about to finish. पहले उसको मोड़ के निकालना है, फिर उसको ऐसे करके निकालना है, फिर उसको कट करके निकालना है. So effective utilization. Thank you, Subhadra. Thank you for your appreciation. Sir, yes, whenever we buy even a mobile phone. This is kind of the emotional attachment. I am telling you all these things. I'll show you the fact. I'll show you the fact. See, I have these three mobile phones. These three mobile phones. One is of Nokia, Microsoft, and Note 5. So these are the three phones which I have purchased in last few years. Still I have those three phones and one is outside. So last four phones, right now, apart from the current phone which I am using, right, I still have all those 4 5 phones which I have purchased in the past, and still I have regret. When I was shifting from Delhi to Hyderabad, the first phone, HTC phone which I have purchased, right, which I have purchased, unfortunately I lost that phone. Otherwise I also have that phone. So whatever the smartphone I have purchased, right, since first time I have purchased a smartphone, I always hold those things. They are not working device, but the kind of emotional attachment I do have, lot of time family have tried to move it from there, so I put in my study drawer, right. So this is what we do have, kind of the thing. So why I'm telling you this thing, because India is a kind of country which generally do not accept the change easily. You can go in the gradual manner. So that is why the reforms process in India, which is severely criticized by the Western experts, right, ठीक है, बिकॉज उनके यहाँ जो सिस्टम चलता है वो हमारे यहाँ नहीं चलता है ना. रास्ते में चलते चलते बोल दिया, मीन्स while going, will you marry me? Yes, I will marry you. Next day, 2 3 दिन के बाद क्या हुआ, डिवोर्स हो गया, right. So the kind of social system they do have, quickly moving from one to other thing. In the social parlance, I'm telling, the same social parlance is also applicable for the economic parlance. So that kind of the swift things are not being there. Second, they have very kind of the atomistic family, small family, or broken family kind of the thing. Here there is no concept of the broken family. There is a kind of, वो पूरा इसको जिला क्यों नहीं घोषित कर देते, kind of the thing is being there, right. So these are the kind of the thing we do have in our system. Fine. Sir, I'm 22 right now, or I feel I need less MA or PhD. Are a little, please ask this question at the end of the session. I'm not going to entertain it right now, but I'll address your question at the end of the session. When I'll end the session, then I'll address your question. But right now, just please focus on this class only. Right. Okay. Okay, I'll read your question at least. So yesterday I asked you the question regarding the DSA application. For that I got. But sir, can you tell me the must? Uh, with this name, little, are you paid subscriber? If you are a paid subscriber, ping me on the Telegram channel and describe your problem there. I will discuss it. I'll discuss it with you. If required, I'll give the number. I can have a discussion over the phone call also. But here here it is not possible. First I have to finish the session. At the end of the session, then I will take the question, because this session is the class related session. I'll take your question either at last, and if you are a paid subscriber, ping me on a Telegram channel. I will have a conversation with you over the phone call. Okay. Okay. So this is why when IMF has questioned why you are still with plans, 5 year plans, why you are still 5 year plans. So Indian government has said that this is the kind of thing which we are doing since so many years, so it is not possible to all of a sudden we stop this thing, right. So that's why we will remain continue. But yes, the structure and the way of planning is gradually going to be changed. From what it is gradually going to be changed towards the indicative planning, from the perspective planning. From the perspective planning to indicative planning, we is ready to move. You can see the transition from 1990 One, 1992, the plan was implemented. 1990 and 1991, sorry, 1992, these 2 years, those 2 years, I just explained you how problematic these year was. How problematic these year was. That is why no 5 year plan was implemented in 1990, 1990, I mean, in the financial year of 1991 and 1992. No 5 year plan was implemented. It was plan holiday. Plan holiday. Abhishek Pathak, sir, did IMF give loan to India as per special drawing rights? No, special drawing rights are already exhausted. What SDR we do have in I will explain. Those who are not able to understand what is SDR, don't worry, I will explain it later when I will explain the balance of payment chapter. I will explain, and I will explain very soon. So those who don't know SDR, don't worry, I will explain it later. Those who know SDR, special drawing rights, so actually I told you IMF will give you the loan. So if you are drawing something from IMF from your SDR, even that loan will come in the form of hard loan. It will not come in the kind of soft loan. It will come in the hard loan. Otherwise, everybody will take the soft loan from there, and IMF is not going to have any money, right? So even if you are drawing from your SDRs, it is going to be little bit harsh terms and conditions. Okay, so already you have exploited that SDR option. Though if you will compare SDR related SDR drawing and non-SDR drawings. So if you are drawing from SDR, your SDR, maybe interest rate is relatively low from non-SDR drawings from the IMF. You can draw in two ways from IMF, with your SDR rights and without your SDR rights. So if you will withdraw some money from your SDR, interest rate will be relatively low, not low, relatively low in comparison to non-SDR borrowings from the IMF. I hope it is clear, Abhishek. If it is clear, please let me know, Abhishek. Harshad Mehta kind of things is definitely going to happen every after every few years, because in the financial market will develop with what ideas and the things, right? So where there is an idea, ठीक है, where there is an idea, there is always an idea of what, of deception. Where there is an idea of good, there is an idea of deception. So every good idea will always bring the deceptive idea. So you can't say that ki Harshad Mehta scam was kind of the thing. Yes, it was happened because of the immaturity of Indian market, right? Yes, that's true. That was one of the biggest scam in India, right? Political class and regulatory bodies and even banks, all these were involved. So he effectively exploited that thing, right? So there is not possibility of such kind of a big crisis because there is a defense mechanism right now. But we cannot say that there is no possibility of the crisis or some kind of the possibility of scam. In financial sector, there is always a possibility of scams. So today, if you will see the heading of today's topic, economic reforms since 1991. This was the heading which I have given. Yes, current NSC is scam. So scam will be there. Scam where the human beings are being there. Scam will be always there. Okay. So let's back to this planning and quickly summarize this planning. Then we will start other thing. 8 5 year plan 1992 to 1997. Midday meal scheme was started in 1995. Right. 73rd and 74th amendment. These are the few things happen, right? Human resource development was the main focus of this 5-year plan. You can see that earlier government of India focusing on economic development and all these things in the 5-year plan, but from here the main focus returned to what? Social sector. So government of India know that ki economic domain should be given to the private sector and social domain should be more focused from here. Again, you can see that growth with equality and social justice was the main objective of this 5-year plan. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan was started, and again in 10th 5-year plan, National Horticulture Mission was started in 2005. So nothing significant happened in all these 5-year plan. Though from 1992, we started with the 8 to 12 5-year plan. Means from 1992 to 2017, we have implemented 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So total 5-5-year plan we have implemented from 1992 onwards, right? So all these areas, if you will compare earlier 5-year plan, 5-year plans. So 5-year plans have two kind of the goal. Indian economy and socio economy sector. So in the earlier phase of the 5-year plans, earlier phase of the 5-year plans means from first to 7th 5-year plan, there was an equal emphasis on both. But gradually from this, we have started moving from perspective planning to indicative planning. And now the current institution, that is Niti Ayog, is only for to cater the indicative planning requirements. Means you can draft certain policies, let it be implemented finally in the guidance of government of India, support of government of India, but it should be driven by the private sector, right? And Niti Ayog work is what? Prepare and analyze and redraft. So Niti Ayog, what is missing here? It is execution. Planning Commission was also important institution in terms of execution. So Planning Commission, you are a Planning Commission. Your name is Planning Commission. Your name is not Executing Commission. Your name is Planning Commission. You should be held responsible on the policy formulation. You should not enter in that domain, right? But in India, Planning Commission have effectively did that thing, right? And because of that thing, some people feel that it has not worked properly, right? So there is no need to go for too much criticism, right? Even in the exam, if there is a kind of critical language, you can criticize certain things, but in the finally we do things as per the situation. So what government of India feel that that situation was there, so accordingly to that situation we have executed few things. So you should not be very harsh while criticizing, especially the Planning Commission, even if they ask in the examination or in the interview, right? You must say that ki yes, few things was not focused properly, right? दिस इज नॉट समटाइम स्टूडेंट फील दैट कि अरे सर मैं तो झूठ बोल रहा हूँ, मुझे पता है कि हाँ गड़बड़ है. तो हाँ मानते हैं भाई गड़बड़ थी. यस गड़बड़ थी. यस देयर वाज अ मिस्टेक बाय द प्लानिंग कमीशन, बट देयर इज अ वे टू से दैट थिंग, right? There is a way to say that thing, and this is what the gentleman and women's way of explaining the things, right? So even in the very soft and gentle words, the gentleman will understand what you want to exactly say. That even if you are not outrightly and outspokenly criticizing, they'll understand what you want to say. राइट तो आप ये मत सोचो कि वो आपकी बात समझ पाएंगे कि नहीं समझ पाएंगे अगर आप उनको अच्छे से क्रिटिसाइज नहीं करो. दे आर वेरी शाना पीपल, right? Though who evaluate the copy, and especially those people who sit in the interview to take your interview, they are very shana people. They know that what is your intention to say, right? So using of the soft and polite language is always going to give you the benefit while writing and while speaking. So in this way, planning part is over, and I told you this reforms, this reforms of monetary policy and fiscal reforms started from 1991. So I told you about the background. I told you about the background. When I will carry forward this discussion in the next class, I will give you the timeline from 1991 till then 2017. What are the major milestones in Indian financial and monetary policy and fiscal reforms? What kind of the reforms, what kind of the committees, what the suggestions they majorly have given, I will summarize in the timeline manner in the next class. Right? So in today's session, there was no such a big concept I have explained, but I have explained what happened in the past and why it was happened and what are the right thing you should know, right, regarding LPG reforms. Okay. So I'm winding up this session for this normal class discussion, and in a minute we will start our descriptive discussion. Okay. So today I have a question, different question. This question is, discuss the effort made by the India to promote sustainable development. Discuss the effort made by the India to promote sustainable development. So this is what? This is not an analytical question. This is more and more factual question. So here your writing skill is not required too much. Your knowledge is very important. Your knowledge is very important. Right. So before going into this question, I just want to brief you about few things. Right. And whatever I'm going to brief you is about the issue. Right. Industrial revolution. It become very thin. Industrial. So this industrial revolution was started in the late 17th century, or you can say there's some mid of the 18th century. The mid of the 18th century, or even mid of the not 18th century, starting of the 19th century was the phase when this industrial revolution was started in Europe, and from Europe it went to where European was settled. They formed their colonies and they were settled there. For example, they settled in America. They settled in America, and right now it is known as USA, United States of America. They settled in the other part of Australia and New Zealand. So wherever the European went and they formed the settlement there, they bought their industrial revolution. Whereas they ruled certain areas like Asia, in India subcontinent, they ruled here, but they used those place only for the profit making and as a market, rather than being settlement and going for their production activity, right? So this is one fact. During this industrial revolution phase lot of things happen. Lot of things in the sense, because production, employment, income was rises, so their consumption also increased, their investment capacity also increased. And during this industrial revolution process, they started polluting the environment. However, by this 1950s and 60s, by 1950s and 60s, some environmental movements were started in those countries, Europe and America. And those environment movement was against the rising of pollution level in those countries. Right. So they pressurized the government to shift these hazardous kind of the thing production which is polluting the environment to where? Outside of those countries. This was their view. And government has accepted that thing. Especially capitalist has accepted these facts. Why they have accepted these facts? Because I told you, when you went for the industrial revolution, employment, income, consumption, savings, all these things were increased. So the labor cost and industries need more manual labor. So more manual labor is required, and high cost of labor, because the rising lifestyle, rising the household income. So labor is also got costly. Plus, because of this environmental movement, government has set some very difficult terms and conditions in order to restrict the pollution, right? So these capitalist or the western countries like Europe and America, when I say west, you can consider Europe and America, right? Europe, America, including Japan also. So these countries want some places where these production activities, the primary production activities, can be shifted, and we do not face too much problems to do the production activity, and at the cheap price. If the price is going to be low, then we cannot make huge sale in that country, means of country of Europe and America, but we can also sell those products in those countries where we are shifting our production activity. So for example, if any company will shift their production activity from Europe and America to China and India, in China and India, there are already there is no production unit at that point of time. So if the production unit is going to be established here, lot of employment will be generated for the local people. If employment will be generated, then definitely their income will be generated, and their income will rise, and that with rising income they will increase their consumption. So the product which we are making in India and China, which is going to be decrease the our production cost. The same product is manufactured in USA and the same product is manufactured in India and China. So the product manufactured in India and China have low cost because the labor cost is very low in comparison to US and America. US and Europe. Right. So this is why if we will produce here, we can bring down the cost of this product even in the European and American market. Right. And in the Indian and Chinese market, because the people are going to get employment, they will also purchase this good. This is the basic concept of what? This is the basic reason of globalization. So with this intended target, the globalization happened all over the world. So what happened in last 50 to 60 years, especially in last 50 years of last century, the main production units were shifted from Europe and America to where? To India, China and other developing countries. Right? So these countries. Now US and Europe was polluting the entire world from middle of 18th century till then middle of 20th century. For 200 years you have did lot of pollution, lot of things you did. Now you have shifted those production activity where? In India and China for your benefit, not for our benefit. You did that thing in disguise. We are also benefited. In disguise, we are also benefited, and now with that benefit, our economy rised, and we are capable to negotiate with you because our market is very huge. Our companies are also rising, so we are in position to have a negotiation with you. So, what happened with these pollution and all? So production was shifted from Europe and America to where? This part of the world, this part of the hemisphere of the world. But pollution was being there. And when India and China country these countries are rising, so the production also started by Indians on own and Chinese by own. So the production activity, first of all, it is shifted to that part of the world, but they also started their own production activity and they started emitting the greenhouse gases on their own also. And when the first Rio summit, Rio de Janeiro is in Brazil, and in Rio, the first World Earth Summit was happened in 1992, and it was properly said that if we are not going to control this pollution level, definitely there will be the huge problem. And with highlighting of that issue, the concept of sustainable development came in that picture. What exactly sustainable development means? Sustainable development means we should exploit the resources in such a manner, we should exploit or we should use, better word, we should use the resources in such a manner so that future generation can be able to use the same resources also. But if we are going to exploit too much, then what will happen? The future generations are not going to see. For example, all Delhiites, tell me when you have seen last time the clear blue sky. Clear blue sky. नीले गगन के तले. कब देखा था आपने last time? And this is not only for Delhiites, it is also for most of the part of Indian cities. Right? So what we are going to give, not नीले गगन के तले, काले और भूरे गगन के तले, right? Means we are going to give the polluted part to our future generations. So when we are intended to use the development in such a manner so that we can allow the development even for our future generation, then we will call it as a sustainable development. Right? Sustainable development. So sustainable development. So the sustainable development, Rio Summit also known as Earth Summit. Yes. During the lockdown. Okay. So sustainable development become an issue. Now what West is portraying, What West is portraying is that now India, they are portraying now India and China are two largest emitter of greenhouse gases. So the responsibility, the responsibility of sustainable development and to prevent climate change. Climate change means whatever the climate is changing because of the rising pollution level, we call this as a climate change. So what West is portraying right now, they are portraying that India and China like country are equal responsible to mitigate this climate change effect and to promote sustainable development. The point of India and China is, so this is one area where India and China हिंदी चीनी भाई भाई वाला concept आ जाता है, तू तो मेरा भाई है वाला concept will come there. Whatever we are fighting at different level, but when it is about Earth Summit or any climate related thing, right? Then India and China have common stand. They come like brothers, right? Who fight in their internal issues, but when they are outside, they will work in a coordinated manner. India and China, especially at the climate change. So climate change related diplomacy is a good point to stable, more confident in two countries. But whenever they will be back, they again start fighting for the different reasons. Right? We are not going to in that, but at climate change level, India and China are mostly at the same side. Fine. So point of India and China is okay. India and China says that okay, we do accept that the responsibility should be shared, but you should take the historical reasons in the background. So the point is equally but shared responsibility. So West is pushing for equal responsibility, right? India and China has pushed that ki no, it is not equal but shared responsibility. Shared why? Because the sharing of the responsibility means everyone should be held responsible and they take certain actions to prevent the climate change and promote the sustainable development. That is true. We are all equally responsible. But when these things will come, then the historical factor should not be forgotten. Historical factors कि you polluted for more than 150 years and we are just polluting from last 50 years. So when the effort is going to be made, we are ready to make equal effort. We are ready to make equal effort, but because of your historical responsibility, you must support our things. Means what we are going to take the responsibility. For example, we do not have a kind of research and development facility for green technology, right? So West must commit to provide the fund, and that fund can be used for development of green technology, like example hydrogen based thing and other based things. So for that purpose, West must provide the money, only then we will move forward. So all these things are happening at different stages, and in that context the conference of party talk, we called it as a COP, conference of party talk, is very important because at this level all the head of state will meet and they'll set the goal for future. अभी मोदी जी गए थे ग्लासगो और वहां पर उन्होंने बोला था भाई बहनों, we are going to take this decisions in order to mitigate the climate change and promote the sustainable development. Such a vicious cycle in this it is. They made us dependent on the fossil. Now they are developed and they want to take responsibility. Yes, this is what this is we are also going to do if you are going to strong. If you want to become strong, you should be like that, right? हम अच्छे और भले की बातें तभी तक करते हैं जब तक हम कमजोर होते हैं. Till then we are weak, only till then we are going to understand all these things, right? It's a human nature. It's not about you, me, or India, or China, or US, or Britain, whosoever. It's a human nature. It's a human nature. We talk about society, we talk about other things only when we are in need of the society, when we are in need of the people, only then we realize that thing. And once we will become the stronger. See the Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is just a single person. Nah? He's representing the United States of America. And his views are properly supported by the US Congress and even the people of US. Right? So this is what. Never take it was. Never take it ki they are cruel. Never take it any person is cruel to you. Right? He has given an opportunity to you to do the same with that person. So if you have this philosophy always in your mind, you will never feel regret or you never feel going to be emotionally down. Right? You never. If someone is doing bad with you, that means he has invited to you to the same, do the same with him. Right? So this is why what India and China is doing right now. They are forcing them for last 3-4 conference of party talk. India and China take the stand. We are not going to do it. Carry on. Yes, we know that we are going to suffer. You are also going to suffer. So that's why the West and America came to the negotiation table. Only then they committed for certain kind of the things. Yes, 1 trillion. Zero emission by 2070. Yes. Panchamrit. Sir, but didn't India recently oppose the China's concession for meeting SDG goals because it's now a mid-income country level? Yes, see, these are issues will be there. But when they are going to confront the West, that is the issue between India and China. Why the concession is given to the China, right? Why the concession is being given to China? That is a different issue because the concession is given by the other organization. But when you are confronting with the West on a common topic, then you are going to be like a brother. This is what I explained. So whatever I have explained, is it clear? Ashwini, I hope you have taken what I said in the positive, constructive manner. Sometimes when I say this thing, so people feel that I'm a kind of negative person, I'm a bad person. So fine, if you think I'm a bad, then I'm happy. I do not have any issue. But you should take in the very constructive manner, and it's a hard fact. It's a hard fact. I have seen in means being as a teacher since last 10 years. I have seen this as a hard fact. Right? Students come to me and they say that, "Ki, sir, I have faced this issue. I have faced this issue, and because of this issue, I was not able to do that thing." So what? So what? If somebody has did the wrong with you, and you are going to just what allowed him to do the wrong, so this is your problem. That is not that person's problem. It is your problem. Don't blame other. Blame yourself, and then get motivated. I will not allow to do this thing. I'll tell you one story, small story. When IPL was started, SRT, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, and there is an Australian bowler. His name is Brad Hogg. I hope many of the cricket enthusiasts know him. Brad Hogg, the bowler who always put out his tongue while bowling like this. So Brad Hogg, right? Brad Hogg also participated in that. Actually, before that IPL, when India went to Australia to play the match, right? Play the series. So Brad Hawk was a young bowler at that time, and he fortunately take the wicket of Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, right? And after the match, he went to Sachin and he just asked to sign on that ball. This ball is very special for me. Because of this ball, I have taken the wicket of great Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, the greatest batsman is means in the present era. So Sachin was being very humble. He said that, okay, I'll sign on it. So he started signing on that ball. While signing on that ball, Brad Hawk sarcastically said that, this is not first time. I am going to do this every time. Whenever I'll take your wicket, I'll do this thing. So Sachin said that in counter, he said that you can try, but this is your last chance. This is the last time you are getting the signing by me on the ball. After that, there was many encounter against me. Sachin and Brad Hawk face each other, but he was not able to take the wicket of what Sachin. So somebody asked him in the radio interview, so you want to take him revenge? He said that no, it was my mistake and I have given my wicket to him. So it was his brilliance, fine, but it was also my mistake. That's why I have thrown out my wicket to him. So next time I have realized that I will not going to commit that mistake. So I'm not taking you as a positive and negative. I am realizing my mistake, okay, and I'm not going to do this again. So this is all of you. You should develop a temper, right? I have to improve myself, because if you every time you are going to discuss those things with others, because of him, because of that, because of this, right, you are not able to improve yourself. When you are going to focus your own, because of me and I have to do this thing, right, I have to do this thing and I have to improve this thing, right, then you are also able to improve yourself. So always have this spirit in yourself, right? I'm going to do this in this manner. Yes, 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 yes. Society is moving towards the doomsday. And who is going to survive in the doomsday? The stronger. So doomsday is inevitable. If India and China is going to stop that all these things, and India and China is going to give up all this production activity, then African countries will take this opportunity. What do you think? If India and China is going to give up, no other country is going to take this opportunity. You are wrong. So doomsday is inevitable. So you should not try to prevent it. That is bound to happen, doomsday. What you can do is you should make yourself very strong so that you can survive the doomsday. Okay. Now, come back to this point. So, I have explained about the politics and I have explained about all these things related to sustainable development. Right. Now, in this PDF, I have few things for you. Here I have explained, means I didn't explain, I have just copy and pasted because I found this material as a good material and especially for you. So this is not mine. If it was mine, it is going to be in the written part rather than typing part. But it is good, so that's why I'm sharing with you. If you want to write the good answer on this topic, discuss the efforts made by the India to promote sustainable development. So first, when we have to write on this question, first we have to explain what is sustainable development. So, in order to answer this question, first of all, in intro part, what we have to do, explain briefly what is SD, sustainable development. In body, you have to do what? You have to discuss measures taken by GOI. And then conclusion, way forward, you are going to say that in order to, in conclusion, what we have to write, in conclusion, we have to summarize this thing ki India is making this effort, but India alone cannot do and accomplish this target of mitigating the climate change and pushing the sustainable development. It must require share equal but shared responsibility. Right? What the stand India and China do take on this, the issue of sustainable development, equal but shared responsibility should be there. It is required. So at the end of the answer, you must mention this thing. Right? Sir, can we mention the SDG goals along with the government steps like this scheme? In this question, see, in this question, they are asking about India's effort. SDG, they are basically an initiative taken by whom? United Nations. So how you can mention, if you want to mention SDG, you can mention what India is doing for achieving this SDG. You should not mention this in that way ki this is the SDG goals, these are the SDG, these are the SDGs. That is going to like what UN is doing. Here in this question, we have to focus on what India as an effort. Maybe that effort is going to for this purpose only, SDGs only, right? But that effort should uh, means you have to highlight what India is actually doing. So for if you will ask my opinion, I'm not going to mention too much. One or two times I can mention, but I am going to mention like this: ki this scheme, that scheme, that scheme, this announcement, this work is being done by the government of India. Maybe all these things were happening in India because of this, right? But rather than mentioning in the terms of SDG, you should mention the government of India's effort, because if they ask, discuss the effort, same question, discuss efforts under SDG to promote sustainable development. Then you can go for it. Then you can go for it. Right? But for this question, you should not focus too much on SDGs. Okay? I hope this is clear. Pulkit, I have to take few interviews. Even one interview I think is scheduled tonight. After this class, I have to take one interview that is scheduled for tonight, and from tomorrow morning, I think there are many interviews are scheduled. So it may be disturbed for 2 3 days, what I expect. But in between, if I'll get the time, I'll do that thing. So okay, what I'll do, as I explained you what you have to write. I explained you what you have to write. Okay, discuss the effort under the SDG to promote this question. This is the separate question. Rather than this question, so till then now I have just discussed the question with you, but in written I have not given anything to you, right? So what I am going to do, I am going to share this PDF on channel within 10 to 15 minutes, right? I will share this PDF on this channel of our channel of paid subscriber. I will share this PDF. So I already explained you what you have to write, right? And content is also available here. So just read that content. Just read that content which is available here, right? Read that content from here, and then write your answer. Then write your answer, and if you wish to submit to me, you can submit me, right? But I cannot give you the guarantee ki I will evaluate this one, because I already have not evaluated the earlier one. But as a kind of what, as a kind of discipline, you, if you want to carry forward ki, okay, I'm doing my work, right? If you want to go with this discipline, ki I am doing my work and I am accountable, being as accountable for my work, I will submit the answer. So you can directly send it to me from Telegram channel, directly ping me and send it to me when you will finish your answer, right? And while submitting, please mention your name as well as either email ID or the phone number, so that if in case I am getting the time to evaluate, I will evaluate and I will send back to you. And if required, I will give you the feedback also. Okay. So I'll share this PDF immediately within 10 to 15 minutes. You will get that PDF on the Telegram channel, right? You can read what I wrote here, then read all those efforts made by the government of India. Do the 2-3 revision, then start writing. Mahi Kumar sir, then how we will get to know drawbacks of those answers? Right. So you can see that since last 3 days, I am increasing and I am slowly expanding the things. Right. It is not necessary for you to know what mistakes you are doing. It is important for you to start writing. अभी लिखना है सिर्फ, गलती क्या कर रहे हो वो नहीं जानना है, पहले लिखने की आदत डालो। ठीक है। जब बच्चों को ब्रश कराना सिखाया जाता है ना, तो पहले उनको ये बोला जाता है कि ब्रश करने की आदत डालो, फिर सही से कर रहे हो कि गलत कर रहे हो, ऐसे नहीं करना है वैसे नहीं करना है, वो बाद में सिखाया जाता है। तो अभी आप मेरे लिए क्या है, छोटे से बच्चे हो डिस्क्रिप्टिव में। ठीक है। तो अभी आपको सिर्फ लिखने की आदत डालनी है। यू मस्ट नो कि हाउ टू राइट, एंड if you want to maintain your accountability, you can submit to me. So this is why I am telling you. So don't, I always means this thing always irritate me, but with lot of patience I am trying to hide, right? I tell you honestly, this thing irritates me when people start jumping, right? If I have taken your hand and I'm holding your hand, right? I'm holding your hand, so I'll expect you should follow what I'm saying rather than jumping, right? So don't jump. At a point of time, you will all, आप अपने आप से सीख जाओगे कि आपने क्या गलती करी है। मैं बोलना नहीं चाह रहा हूं, लेकिन अब मैं बोल देता हूं बिकॉज यू हैव आस्क्ड मी, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम टेलिंग यू। आफ्टर मेंटेनिंग दिस राइटिंग, एट अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम यू हिमसेल्फ got to know this, this is the mistake which I have did in my previous answers, right? So my objective is not to make you what dependent on me. My objective is always to make you what, make you the best one, right? So this is my objective. So I'm not going to do this thing right now, I will do it later. अभी आपको फोकस ही नहीं करना है। यू शुड नॉट फोकस ऑन कि व्हाट मिस्टेक्स यू आर कमिटिंग, यू शुड फोकस ऑन डेवलपिंग दिस हैबिट टू राइट एन आंसर, right? No need to try to know right now ki what mistakes you are committing. Fine. So this is what you should do. Okay. And I hope many of you are going to submit, because people are submitting. I'm not able to evaluate. I accept it, but you should follow. कभी तो दिल पिघलेगा हमारा कि नहीं यार, they are submitting. I also have some responsibility. So जिस दिन दिल पिघला उस दिन रात में भी उठ के हम चेक कर देंगे. But you should do that thing. Show me your accountability so that I can push myself to do some extra. And let's see how many of you are going to do that thing. Fine. So you have to do that thing. Any other question? In general question or any other question do you have? If you have, you can ask me. Otherwise, I will submit. Last question. I didn't submit due to exam. I will send it today or tomorrow. Fine. Any other? Any other question? Sir, please conduct the Zoom session you planned. Oh, Zoom session. Zoom session. But there are so many students. How I'm going to conduct that Zoom session? So what I will do, I will conduct the Zoom session in the alphabetical order. I will create a Google form and I will invite in the alphabetical order. Right. I will discuss with Ashok ji, and then I will create a Google form. In that Google form, it is going to be like in the alphabetical order, so that I'll invite, because if there will be many people, then it will be like a machi bazaar, right? I don't want to do that thing. Maybe I have to take 2 3 sessions. I am fine with that, but I'll do that in that way. GS static, GS static. You can do one thing. You can ping me directly. I'll discuss with you. I will discuss with you. Okay. Back alphabetical order. Back alphabetical order. No, even if in alphabetical order, it will not too much time. Means if I'll start, I will do that thing in 2 to 3 days maximum. Randomly, randomly, it is going to create a chaos. 18 to 20 students. But how I am going to know that? I can recognize some name, like all these students who are generally like Chetan, Vishwas, Venkat, Vikul, Divyanshu. I can recognize few names. I'm not able to recognize all the names. But this is the good idea. हाँ हाँ, माही कुमार भी. हाँ हाँ हाँ, बिल्कुल आप हो. मैं कहाँ मना कर रहा हूँ कि आप नहीं हो. यू आर हियर. हाँ शुभम. एक काम करो. डू वन थिंग. ऑल ऑफ यू हु आर इन द लाइव चैट राइट नाउ, just tell me your name. Acha, do one thing. Ping me on Telegram. Those who are in today's live session, you have to ping me there. So I'll do that thing. I'll do that thing. I'll do that thing. I'll take your session first for the live students. This is a good idea. You should ping me right now. I'll do that thing first. Not here. Just ping me on Telegram channel. Just ping me on Telegram channel. I'll do that thing. Telegram ID. I do not have a Telegram ID. I have not created any Telegram ID. I have not created any ID. But it is without username. I have checked that. This is without username. और ज्वाइन कर लो. माही कुमार, काहे इतनी कंजूसी कर रहे हो? कहाँ ले जाओगे इतना सारा पैसा बचाकर? हैं? थोड़ा खर्च कर दो. I got the message from Chetan Vishwas. Chetan and Vishwas message I have received on Telegram. हाँ हाँ, आ गया मैसेज, आ गया मैसेज. आरबीआई में जाने के बाद कोई पे नहीं करता है। आरबीआई में जाने के बाद लोग उल्टा मांगते हैं कि हम आपके सेक्शन में आ रहे हैं, हमको भी कुछ दे दो। समझे? और ऐसे बाद में देने वाले जो है ना, दुकान पे लिखा था ना, राहुल गांधी के प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनने तक उधारी बंद है, तो आप ऐसे समझ लो। हाँ, आ गया है, आ गया। ये माही कुमार ऐसे पूछ रहा है जैसे इसको पता नहीं है। ये सबसे पहले यही खड़ा होगा कि सर इतने पैसे मैं लूंगा तभी मैं आपके चैनल पे आके बोलूंगा कि मैं आपसे पढ़ा हूं। कोई पंच लाइन है ना, गजब टोपीबाज आदमी है। Okay then, means I'm going to wind up this session. Lot of chit chat has happened. ठीक है, so we will start tomorrow. ये यहाँ पे भी कैलकुलेशन करने लगा कितने लेते हैं। ठीक है, जो लेते हैं ना, मैं बता रहा था, मेरे साथ जब भी ऐसा हुआ है तो मैंने उनको खुद बोला है, दोज हु आर आस्किंग फॉर द मनी और काइंड ऑफ द थिंग, आई टोल्ड देम डू वन थिंग, you should go in the market and say कि I have never studied with that person, and even if you want to do some negative marketing against me, you can do it, you are free for that, but I'm not going to do this thing, especially, and I always join only those platforms who are having this ethics, right? Don't go for the negative and false marketing, whatever your performance. And I admire a lot of I admire a lot about Ashok ji, right? Because he is making an effort, right? He is not having such kind of fake students. Whosoever has studied his platform, only those students will be available here. And even I took an interview of a guy, he is also selected in the UPSC. You can find that interview on our channel. He is very humble and he didn't ask for anything to Ashokji or anyone else, so that's why we have went for. So our student do not do that thing, and we do not entertain such kind of the student. Bhavna, you can write, means whatever you want to write. There is no limitation on the word limit right now. You can write, means it should not be more than 400 or 500 words. Even if you want 200 words, 300 words, it's up to you. It should be relevant. It should be relevant. So somewhere around 200, 300, 400 words. Don't worry about the word limit. Just start developing this habit of writing. I'm not very worried about how many words you are going to write. Till then they are what? Till then they are relevant, you can write. So okay, winding up this session. हाँ, तो माही कुमार फिर ज्वाइन कर लो आज, कल कल फिर आई होप कि यू आर गोइंग टू ज्वाइन। ओके, चलो देन, बाय बाय, गुड नाइट टू ऑल ऑफ यू।